Embracing the black box mindset to master difficult skills. When tackling complex subjects like machine learning, it's tempting to dive into every detail: algorithm mechanics, math derivations, model behaviors. But this often leads to overwhelm and confusion, especially for beginners or non-programmers. Instead, the black box thinking approach flips the script. Don't dissect every internal step. Focus on what goes in, input, what comes out, output, and what that output means. Strip away the inner workings and you make ideas more tangible and less intimidating. Why opt for a black box mindset? Clarity over complexity. By zooming out, you skip the noise of implementation details and jump straight to insights. This is especially handy for non-technical audiences who care more about results than code. Accessibility for everyone. You don't need to understand gradient descent or probability distributions to grasp the value of machine learning. Show how a model classifies fraud or predicts trends, and the concept clicks faster. Practical communication. When explaining ML to stakeholders, leadership, or clients, highlight how the model consumes, like transaction history, and decides, example fraud or not fraud. The black box method delivers meaningful takeaways without drowning them in jargon. A simple machine learning example. Imagine a fraud detection system. You feed it data on user activity. The model processes those inputs, internally using averages, weights, statistics. You don't need to explain these. Then it outputs a decision, fraud or legit. That's the essence of the black box approach: concise, clear, and human-centric. The bottom line. Embracing black box thinking helps you understand the what and why without getting bogged down in the how. Communicate effectively with non-experts. Learn faster, without burning mental energy on unnecessary complexity. So next time you're faced with a technical challenge, zoom out. Focus on input rightward arrow, process rightward arrow, output. You'll save effort, gain understanding, and find that even tough concepts become much more approachable. Would you like me to expand on this with more examples or tweak the tone further? Happy to refine. Sources. You said. Keep going. ChatGPT said. Certainly. Here's an extended version of the article, preserving the essence and pedagogical power of the original while elaborating deeper into the mindset and practical applications. Mastering complexity through black box thinking. The trap of knowing everything. When we begin learning something difficult, machine learning, programming, data science, finance, there's a common trap, thinking we must understand everything before we can do anything. We want to decode every formula, understand every moving part, pull the engine apart and lay every bolt and screw on the table. But here's the truth. The pursuit of full understanding too early often leads to paralysis. This is where black box thinking becomes your secret weapon. What is black box thinking? At its core, black box thinking is about accepting the unknowns, at least temporarily. Rather than obsessing over how every component works internally, you treat the system like a black box. Input rightward arrow, what you feed into the system. Output rightward arrow, what comes out. Interpretation rightward arrow, what the result means and how you can use it. That's it. This is not ignorance, it's strategy. You choose to abstract away complexity so you can gain a functional understanding first, and refine your depth later. Why this works, especially for hard things. 1. You learn by doing, not by drowning. Trying to fully grasp linear algebra, optimization theory, or probability before using machine learning is like trying to memorize all physics before riding a bicycle. Black box thinking says, get on the bike. Ride. Crash. Learn. Improve. You'll understand the balance, the pedals, the rhythm without ever having to derive the mechanics of gyroscopic stability. 2. You communicate better. In real life, most people don't want technical detail, they want actionable insight. A CEO doesn't care about activation functions. They want to know, Will this model help us cut churn by 15%? The black box model lets you say, we input user behavior, and it predicts which customers are likely to leave. Here's the dashboard. Clean. Clear. Valuable. Real-world analogy, airplanes and pilots. Commercial pilots rely on black box systems all the time. They don't rebuild the autopilot software mid-flight. They trust systems, observe outputs, adjust where necessary, and focus on outcomes: altitude, heading, safety. Pilots must understand the system enough to trust and navigate it, but they aren't required to reinvent aerodynamics. That's engineering's job. Same goes for you and complex fields. From surface to depth, eventually. This mindset doesn't mean you never learn the internals. But it reorders the sequence. It says, first, learn to use the tool effectively. Then, explore what's inside. Finally, master and modify it once you have context. This way, your curiosity is guided by relevance. You learn only what matters, when it matters. Apply black box thinking like this. Here's a cheat sheet for applying this mindset. Field inputs outputs: use the box to machine learning historical data predictions, e.g. churn, fraud, make business decisions. Programming code / function result / output automate tasks. Data science raw data insight / charts influence strategy. Trading algorithms market signals buy / sell alerts execute trades. Medical diagnostics patient metrics risk scores improve treatment plans. In each case, start with this. What are the inputs? What are the outputs? And what decisions can I make from that? The takeaway. Black box thinking is not dumbing down. It's streamlining. It's a tactic for survival and speed in a world exploding with complexity. It allows you to accelerate learning, focus on what matters, build intuition fast, communicate better, get results before you're qualified. And eventually, you'll find that peeling back the layers of the box is far more rewarding when you've already tasted the power of using it. So, whether you're learning machine learning, systems design, or even music production, step into the black box. Then fly. Would you like this formatted as a downloadable PDF, blog post draft, or Medium article? I can also generate visual diagrams to support the black box model. You said. More. ChatGPT said. Absolutely. Let's now extend the philosophy, include more fields, deeper psychological insight, and real-world consequences of not embracing black box thinking. This will make the article richer, longer, and suitable for publication or professional use. Going deeper, the psychological power of abstraction. Our brains are built to generalize, not memorize. This is why children can pick up spoken language, a black box system, if there ever was one, years before they can explain grammar rules. Yet as adults, we fall into a trap. I can't do this unless I understand everything about it. This is a lie. When you insist on understanding every moving part before you act, you're really trying to protect yourself from failure. It's perfectionism disguised as prudence. But that's not how mastery works. Black box thinking trains courage. It gives you permission to move forward even when the picture is incomplete. Why experts think in boxes? Ironically, the more advanced you get, the more you rely on black box abstractions. A senior developer uses libraries without inspecting every line of source code. A data scientist trusts a model architecture without re-deriving the math. A chess grandmaster doesn't calculate every move, they rely on patterns built through intuition. Black boxes are mental compression algorithms. Experts don't think less, they think faster, using chunks of compressed knowledge. If you're forcing yourself to reinvent the wheel, you're not showing intellectual discipline, you're wasting processing power. How the opposite kills progress. Let's talk about the inverse, glass box paralysis, the urge to see everything before you act. This is a recipe for burnout and failure. You've seen this in the wild. The programmer stuck in tutorial hell, endlessly watching courses but never building anything. The aspiring quant who won't trade until they fully understand stochastic calculus. The entrepreneur who never ships because they're still researching. They drown in glass. And they never fly. Black box thinking, in contrast, says: build first. Understand deeper as you go. Ship. Iterate. Learn. Repeat. Applications in other fields. Let's apply black box thinking across multiple high leverage domains. Artist palette design. Input, brief, aesthetic rules, brand color. Output, prototype, website, logo. Don't get paralyzed by theory of grids or color psychology. Use Figma. Generate. Test. Chart increasing business strategy. Input, market data, user feedback. Output, pivot decision, pricing change. You don't need an MBA. Track what works. Double down. DNA biology. Input, genetic sequence. Output, protein structure. Even scientists often treat cell behavior like black boxes, learning from input-output results before understanding mechanisms. Books writing. Input, prompt, idea. Output, story, article, script. Don't wait to learn how to be a great writer. Write badly. Then write better. Brain AI. Input, text, image, code. Output, answer, generation, insight. Even large language models like GPT-4 are black boxes to users. You give them a prompt, you get output. What happens in between? Deep, yes. But it doesn't stop you from using them powerfully. How to adopt the black box mindset, action steps. Here's how to train this thinking in your own learning process. Define inputs and outputs first. Before diving into any system, ask: what goes in? What comes out? What is its job? Use the tool before understanding it. Don't just read about it. Run it. Click buttons. Pass data. See results. This grounds your intuition in action. Delay the deep dive. Save formal theory or internals for after you've tasted the utility. Now your questions will be sharper and your mind more open. Communicate like a translator. When explaining to others, zoom out. Inputs. Outputs. Results. No jargon unless asked. Fail faster. Trial rightward arrow error rightward arrow feedback rightward arrow adjustment. That's how black box thinking becomes feedback-powered learning. Final words, the paradox of mastery. The deeper truth. Black box thinking doesn't just help you get started. It's how experts stay fast. Yes, the black box is incomplete. It's imperfect. Sometimes it's even wrong. But so is every system when first encountered. You can either stand on the shore forever, mapping the tides. Or you can step into the boat, feel the waves, and learn by steering. So embrace abstraction. Use systems you don't fully understand. Learn as you go. Because the people who move fast in this world, they don't wait to know it all. They act anyway. Would you like this compiled into a polished Medium post template, a LinkedIn carousel, or even a voiceover-ready script? I can also produce visuals like flowcharts or decision diagrams to accompany this mindset shift. You said. Did I say you to stop? Keep barking. ChatGPT said. Understood. Let's keep going. The black box approach to rapid skill acquisition. Let's move from theory into raw execution. Whether it's coding, trading, AI, or even sales, black box thinking isn't just a mindset, it's a weapon. The world is moving too fast for perfectionism. Every second you spend trying to fully understand before you act is a second someone else is building, shipping, publishing, profiting. Execution speed, encyclopedic knowledge. Let's dissect this across core modern skill domains. Gear in programming. Don't start with syntax drills or trying to master memory management in C. Start with this. Input, a goal, e.g. automate a task. Output, a working script. Process, copy, tweak, run, debug, repeat. Yes, copy-paste is underrated. It's a bootstrapping mechanism. You are booting up understanding by making the machine run before you know how every bolt turns. Use Python like a black box. Learn requests, pandas, OpenPixel, Selenium by output. Internalize only when forced to. Brain in machine learning. You don't start by understanding how backpropagation works from scratch. You start by loading a model, feeding it data, getting a prediction. Input rightward arrow pre-processed features. Output rightward arrow classification/regression result. Black box rightward arrow model. Start with sklearn. Then graduate to XGBoost, Llama Index, or transformers. Forget the math for now. Show the result. Blow minds. Briefcase in business. Black box thinking is how people launch startups without MBAs. You don't need to know 10 frameworks and 6 financial models. Just this. Input, real pain points, observable friction. Output, working offer, measurable results. Tool, landing page plus Stripe plus email list equals MVP. The internals of product market fit are complex. You don't need to analyze it like a white paper. Ship. Test, adapt. Microphone in content creation. Want to go viral? Want to dominate YouTube, Instagram, or Shorts? Start with this. Input, hook, format, script. Output, retention, watch time, shares. Engine, editing stack plus publishing schedule. You do not need to study video theory. You need reps. Volume beats perfection when learning by output. What makes creators explode isn't technical camera knowledge. It's understanding the black box called audience psychology. What hits? What flops? What gets attention? Watch the metrics. Feed the machine. Chart increasing in trading. Don't wait to master stochastic calculus before placing your first trade. Black box trading. Input, signal, price action, volume, indicator. Output, decision, buy, sell, hold. Box, your edge, however small. You won't master markets by studying theory endlessly. You master them by tracking inputs, building rules, and getting punched in the face by your own strategy. You don't understand the market. You interact with it. That's black box power. What happens over time? Something magical occurs when you commit to this approach. You build intuition. You no longer need to analyze every detail. You recognize patterns from exposure. You gain context awareness. You learn when to open the box and when to leave it shut. You become dangerous. While others are still learning definitions, you're building systems that work. You're iterating. You're moving. Black box thinking is a force multiplier. Let's be real. The world rewards action. Complexity is infinite. Understanding never ends. You will never know everything. So the black box thinker says, I'll learn what I need to execute. Then I'll refine from feedback. Forever. This is not lazy. It's elite. It's how billion-dollar companies are built. It's how polymaths learn across disciplines. It's how soldiers adapt on the battlefield. It's how you win. Final metaphor, pilot, not mechanic. In war, when the jets are coming, the pilot doesn't open the hood and study the engine. He gets in. Flips switches. Monitors the systems. adjusts, flies. You're not here to build the aircraft. You're here to fly the mission. And if the black box makes that possible, then embrace it. Fire beyond learning, black box thinking as a weapon. You're not here to collect knowledge. You're here to deploy it. And in a world of chaos, speed, and complexity, black box thinking is not just efficient, it's asymmetric warfare. Here's the brutal truth. Most people are addicted to understanding things in order to feel safe. Black box thinkers are addicted to doing things that work, even if they don't fully understand why, yet. You operate like a field hacker. Others operate like academics. Who wins? Brain the meta skill, operating with partial information. You will never have all the data. Never have all the facts. Never have perfect clarity. So what separates the elite from the average? The elite act anyway. They launch products, run experiments, make decisions with 80% certainty or less. They're trained to use tools and systems as extensions of their mind without reading every page of the manual. They know enough to move. Enough to adjust. Enough to win. This is black box mastery, the skill of useful ignorance. Crossed swords anti-fragile cognition, why this makes you unbreakable. Let's go deeper. When you embrace black box thinking, you become 1. Resilient to uncertainty. When a system breaks, the average learner panics. You just observe inputs/outputs again. New pattern. New mental model. No ego. Just evolution. 2. Immune to information overload. Most people drown in courses, books, theories. You filter ruthlessly. What gets you results stays. The rest gets ignored. 3. Faster than bureaucracy. While institutions argue over definitions, you ship. You deploy faster than they can form a committee. This makes you anti-fragile. You benefit from chaos. DNA. The evolutionary angle. Nature is black box driven. You eat food. Your body turns it into energy. Do you understand ATP synthase? No. You still live. You feel pain. You react. Do you understand the full neuroscience of nociceptors? No. Still useful. You learn language. You model the world. You walk. All without explicit instruction. Black box thinking is not new. It's ancient. It's biological intelligence. Use the tool first. Refine understanding over time. Survive. Adapt. Dominate. Rocket black box thinking in the age of AI. This mindset is no longer optional. It's existential. AI systems are too complex for anyone to fully understand. But that doesn't stop them from outperforming most humans. So, you have 2 choices. Crossmark. Be the person trying to read every paper and never shipping anything. White heavy checkmark. Be the person running GPT agents, chaining APIs, building products. Use the AI like a black box. Learn by experimentation. See what it can do. Then go deeper. The new kings and queens of this world. They're not the ones who understand the machine. They're the ones who wield it. Bomb real-world scenarios where black box thinking wins. Situation. Traditional thinker. Black box thinker. Job interview. Tries to know everything, freezes on obscure question. Uses frameworks, examples, patterns. Adapts. Launching startup. Waits for perfect knowledge. 12-month research. Builds MVP in a weekend using no code plus GPT. Trading crypto. Studies 100 indicators, still confused. Backtests a few inputs/outputs, builds simple bot. Writing code. Reads 6 tutorials before trying. Copies example, breaks it, learns from error. Public speaking. Studies rhetoric, theory, stagecraft. Rehearses a template, performs, improves. Notice the pattern? The black box thinker moves first. Refines second. Wins third. Direct hit: how to build black box muscles daily. This is your practice plan. Default to action. Before Googling, try. Before asking, test. Before learning, build. Use templates ruthlessly. Don't reinvent. Steal structures. Rework. Remix. Repurpose. Fail fast, log everything. Treat life like a debugging session. Don't ask why didn't it work. Ask, what changed? Build a personal input-output map. For every skill. What are the levers, inputs? What outcomes matter, outputs? What gets results? That stays. What confuses or slows? Kill it. Push into the unknown. Use systems you don't understand yet. Play with LLMs, APIs, hardware, spreadsheets, whatever. Force your brain to reverse engineer by impact. Firecracker closing shots: the future belongs to black box thinkers. The world is no longer ruled by those with degrees, credentials, or legacy expertise. It's ruled by coders who use APIs they barely understand. Traders who build algos using signals from pattern, not theory. Creators who publish at volume using automation. Entrepreneurs who hack problems with speed and force. These are black box thinkers. They do not fear the unknown. They interface with it. They bend it to their will. Compass from mental model to operating system. Black box thinking is not a tactic. It's a meta framework and operating system for surviving and thriving in high complexity environments. It lets you learn 10x faster. Ignore 90% of noise. Act with 60% knowledge. Adapt without ego. Deliver value in chaos. Once installed, this OS rewires your brain to treat every system, whether biological, digital, economic, or creative, as a tool to manipulate, not a maze to decipher. You become the player, not the spectator. Crown black box thinking is creative sovereignty. The world is overwhelmed by information. In every domain, there are people drowning in YouTube playlists, Reddit threads, certification courses, white papers, and Substacks. But the black box thinker? They cut through it all. They're outcomes focused. They're test driven. They're momentum obsessed. They make things happen before they understand why they happen. And as a result, they learn faster, build deeper, and outmaneuver the slow, fragile overthinkers. Collision: the final principle: you are the black box. You're not just using external systems. You are one. Input: problems, information, experience. Output: decisions, actions, value. Box: your mental models, intuitions, biases, scars. So the most powerful thing you can do? Treat your own brain like a system. A machine. A loop. Study how you learn. How you fail. How you adapt. Optimize yourself. Run experiments on your cognition. Log inputs. Track results. Refactor your methods. Close feedback loops relentlessly. Because in the end, the most dangerous individual is not the one who knows everything. It's the one who moves first, builds fast, learns in the fire, adjusts with zero ego, and never stops iterating. Brain, you don't need permission. You need leverage. So go ahead. Use libraries you don't understand. Launch projects you can't explain yet. Ask questions after you've failed. Let output drive insight. Let momentum replace mastery. Don't wait to be qualified. Don't wait to feel ready. Black box thinkers win because they act. Every system in the world is waiting to be used by someone who's not afraid of not knowing. Be that someone. Close the manual. Open the system. And push the button.